Hello everyone and welcome to a Shelby style Cupid Parasite. Happy honeymoon. We left off where Shelby was having a really tough time keeping his composure as they walked around more paradise on their first day of their honeymoon. And when she came out of the shower, it was just all over for him. So now it's the following morning. They continue to enjoy vacation at Demore Paradise. The bright morning sun woke us, and my gaze met Shelby's as he lay beside me.
Ohayo, Lynette.
He's been satisfied. Good morning, Shelby. Each morning, Shelby is there when I wake up and when I drift off to sleep, despite being used to it. God, I slept so well.
こんなに眠ったのは久しぶりだ。マットレスもピローもブランケットもゲストの深い眠りのために丁寧に考えられているようだな。
Shelby's smile was gentle as he caressed my cheek and hand. Shelby had always neglected sleep. Even after we got married, he often stayed up late. That's why it meant so much to me that he had chosen to sleep in, and I hugged him tightly in response. That's great. You just woke up, right? Did you sleep well?
ああ、昨晩は遅かったしな。
Shelby bashfully kissed my cheek as he reminded me. Indeed, we were up late. He hardly let me sleep at all. I ended up needing to take another rest. Oh, really? He even did it in the bathroom. He was relentless. Oh my goodness. I don't even know that. We didn't sleep until it was well past 2 in the morning. That's a really long time. I don't know when they went to bed, but still. It's the first time Shelby was so persistent. Maybe it was the unique circumstances of our honeymoon that made him behave that way. Given that this was our very first honeymoon, it was certainly a reason to be excited. Overjoyed by his enthusiasm, I leaned in to return his kiss. We continued to tease and play like kittens in a lazily morning sunlight.
まったく、あまり可愛すぎることをするな。
Well, we're on our honeymoon. You don't mind, right?
ああ。
He's so adorable. We hugged tightly and Shelby stroked my hair. His expression was different from what he was at work, softer and completely at ease.
たまにはこうしてゆっくり過ごすのもいいな。
I agree, it's wonderful.
ああ、幸せだ。
Squinting in the late morning sun, Shelby reached for his phone. He then shook his head and set it back down on the bedside table.
しかし、仕事を気にしないようにするというのもなかなか難しいな。さすがに少し落ち着かない。
I would definitely believe it. I knew you'd say something like that.
すまない。こんなに仕事をせずに過ごしたことはあまりないからな。本当にいいのかと気になるんだ。
You never change, but even you need to rest sometimes.
それは確かにそうなんだが。
Shelby seemed uneasy, reminding me of conversations we had before we were married. When I asked him about taking a vacation, he would say he would never stop until he achieved perfection. Even when he had time off, he claimed that there was nothing he wanted to do. He preferred to dedicate that time to his company. Perhaps that was why he found it hard to rest, but now it was my job to ensure he relaxed fully. We're on our honeymoon, so you need to rest. Shelby, I know you haven't taken a break since we got married.
確かに得意先との接待でしか休みは取っていなかったな。
That doesn't count as time off.
そのようだな。これまでは十分それで休んでいると思っていたが、お前と出会ってから休日が何たるかをようやく理解した気がする。
At that, we kissed, and I noticed his shoulders relax slightly.
そうだな。ここ数年分の休暇のつもりで、ハネムーンの間はゆっくり休むとするか。
Oh, really? That's the spirit. We spent a bit more time playfully lounging in bed. We had never spent a day off like this before. Shelby would usually wake up early to check work emails, or we'd be in the kitchen to cook together. Oh, what do you want to do for breakfast?
なあ、それだが、朝食はルームサービスで届けてくれるとメールに書かれていたな。
From Mr. Omar, who invited us.
なあ、メールには確か9時頃に届けるとあったから、まだ大丈夫だ。
I know you better be dressed in time. Okay. No need to cook, no work to do. I could play with Shelby in bed as long as I wanted. The thought made me giddy. As we continued to laze about, there was a knock at the door.
ルームサービスをお届けに参りました。
Well, you're too late now.
来たようだな。
You better put something on. Oh no, I need to get dressed. I hurriedly threw on the bathrobe and hopped back into bed.
入ってくれ。
What, Shelby? Is he in
失礼いた
pants?
します。
From beneath the covers, I watched as the bellboy wheeled in the cart and skillfully set up our breakfast.
お待たせいたしました。シャンパン付きの朝食メニューでございます。
Get alcohol first thing in the morning. Champagne. I peeked out from the blankets at the mention of champagne. Champagne for breakfast felt incredibly lavish.
こちらから生ハムとブラータのサラダ、サーモンのカルパッチョとポーチドエッグのキャビア添え、クロワッサンとブリオッシュにラズベリーのジャムを添えております。どうぞごゆっくりお過ごしください。
With a bow, the bellboy cleared the empty cart from the room. As soon as the door closed, I bounded out of bed. Wow, this looks delicious.
これは見事な朝食だな。自信があるとサイトに書かれていただけある。しかしシャンパン付きか。
It's quite fancy. Did you mention to Mr. Omar that we were on our honeymoon?
いや、妻と行くとは伝えたが、もしかしたら私たちが結婚したてであると知っていたのかもしれないな。
Speaking of which, the way the bed was made did look like it was prepared for honeymooners. Maybe they arranged it that way.
では食べるとするか。
Yes, let's. We decided to start with some fresh squeezed juice, as champagne could get me tipsy too early. And this is delicious. It's so refreshing. I thought she didn't get drunk on alcohol though. Next, I tried the croissant. It was warm and soft and tasted absolutely delicious. This croissant is amazing.
本当だな。さすがはフランス企業といったところか。このボウルに入っているカフェオレはクロワッサンをつけるためのものだろう。浸して食べる習慣だと聞いたことがあるからな。濃厚なミラベルジュースもそうだが、本場の味を用意しているようだ。
Alright, Omar Holdings is a French company.
ああ、フランスのリプンの企業だ。古くから交易地として栄えている歴史ある都市だな。あちらでもホテルにレストランにと手広くやっているからな。ノウハウが蓄積されているのだろう。
So that's why they're able to recreate authentic French croissants even in Los York. Either way, it was delicious. I'd gladly spend the night there just to savor those pastries. The bed was made beautifully with the flower petals and the breakfast was luxurious. The overall experience was nothing short of exquisite.
しかし、イーライ・オマール氏にはきちんとお礼を言わないといけないな。
You're right. As I enjoyed the breakfast, I decided to draft an official letter of thanks once we returned to the office. After we finished our almost overly luxurious breakfast, we finished our morning preparations and decided to enjoy the jacuzzi we had missed out on the night before. This feels good. As expected, the jacuzzi was wonderful. I had only used the shower the night before, so I wanted to give it a try. I slid into the spacious tub and let the jets work their magic.
いい景色だな。
Is there a window, or are you talking about the net? Yes, it's a fantastic location, especially with the view of the ocean. Okay, there's a view. During the day, the view was impressive. The ocean was crystal clear from our vantage point in the jacuzzi on the terrace. The resort scenery made it easy to forget we were still in Los York. Unable to resist, I started splashing in the water like a child in a swimming pool, fully enjoying the view. So the answer is ask where you'd go later. First we're going to think about where you haven't been. From yesterday we started at the entrance and went counterclockwise, so the only place we haven't visited is...
どうした？急に難しい顔をして。
I was just remembering the island map, thinking about the places we didn't explore yesterday. We didn't visit the upper levels of the island yet. There seems to be some sort of facility there.
ああ、レストランだろう。店内の装飾が凝られているとガイドブックには紹介されていたぞ。ランチに行ってみるか？
Yes, can we just relax in the room until then? It's such a nice room after all. After exploring more paradise today, we would be heading home tonight. Alright, let's go back up. I just noticed it didn't give a sweet or spicy thing. Maybe we didn't finish it all yet. Let's go. Ask where you'd go later. So where do we go today?
そうだな。昨日まだ行っていないのは。
As we continued to enjoy the jacuzzi, we discussed our plans for the day. After today's exploration of more paradise, we would return home that evening. Shelby, being ever busy, could only spare 2 days for our honeymoon, but it felt as though we had made the most of it. I think that's where it picked up.
せっかくの部屋だからな。昼まではここでゆっくりと休んで、昼食はあそこのレストランで取るのはどうだ？
That sounds perfect to me. I guess we didn't finish it, but I feel like it was almost over.
ああ、では決まりだな。
Shelby leaned back and relaxed in the jacuzzi with me. This is really such a wonderful hotel. The breakfast served via room service and the suite equipped with a jacuzzi were fantastic. The view from the terrace was breathtaking and the room's amenities were top-notch. No doubt Demore Paradise, newly built in Lost York, would be a hit among busy Lost Yorkers who couldn't afford to travel far. With such great weather, I knew it would be a wonderful day. We lounged in our room until past noon. As we started to feel hungry, we headed to the restaurant. Inside the restaurant, the lighting had an aqua hue and there was a fish tank integrated into the interior design. Colorful fishes swam about. But wonderful decor.
ああ、そうだな。
Wow, the fish with the two-tone purple and yellow is pretty. I wonder what it's called. I looked for a name tag around the tank, but I heard a soft chuckle behind me.
ロイヤルドティーバッグだ。メギスの仲間だな。
Oh, I see. Then what's that fish in that tank?
ネオンテトラだ。
No matter which fish I pointed to, Shelby knew its name as if it were simply naming vegetables at its supermarket. Impressive. Shelby knows so much even about fish. S. Frank. After asking a few more questions, we chose the table next to the largest tank and checked the menu. What will you have for lunch?
これは悩ましいな。どれも美味しそうだ。
The cuisine was indeed enticing. The more I examined the menu, the harder it became to make a decision. The pizza looks good, but I want to try the salad too.
ドリンクも種類が豊富だな。
Wow, you're right. And with so many desserts, what should I do? I groaned, attempting to balance what I wanted to eat with the capacity of my stomach. If I were with Clara's, we could share. I wonder how Shelby would feel about that. We rarely ate at such restaurants outside of town, so I wasn't sure if suggesting it would be appropriate. But it's fine, right? We're married after all. If Shelby didn't like sharing, it was better to find out sooner rather than later. Partially hiding my face behind the menu, I looked over at Shelby. Hey Shelby, since we're here, why don't we share our dishes?
Share?
Yeah, it's okay if you don't want to, but I thought it'd be nice to try more dishes, you know?
シェアか。いや、悪くない。すまない。普段誰かとシェアをすることはなかったから戸惑ったが、確かにいい案だ。ぜひそうしよう。
Why does he have the face like he just conquered something? But he never did it before, just as I thought. Though he hesitated initially, he agreed. I was relieved to see he didn't seem opposed to the idea. I wanted to share my experiences with Shelby now that we were married. I placed the menu flat on the table and we started deciding on what to order. Do you have anything in mind, Shelby?
そうだな。食べたいものか。
Why are you embarrassed about this? As we looked over the menu together, Shelby seemed indecisive. After a while, he pointed at a few options.
この鶏もも肉のコンフィは気になるな。ああ、あとこのシーフードサラダもだ。
So let's order those. I want you to try this tomato cream spaghetti.
では、ひとまずその3つを頼んでみるとするか。
Yes.
決まりだな。では、この3つを頼む。
かしこまりました。
Once we ordered, we took another look around the restaurant. It was filled with couples, some with wedding rings and others that seemed newer and shy. There were also customers who seemed to be friends, but overall there were more couples there than in typical date spots in Los York.
おいおい、恥ずかしいじゃないか。
でもみんなやってるわよ。
Indeed, some couples were openly displaying their affection. Wow, this really is a date spot. It was starting to feel more like the island of love that it was touted out to be. From Cupid's perspective, this was just another form of matchmaking. It just wasn't matchmaking companies. Places like this also had the power to make people fall in love, and I found that quite fascinating.
お待たせいたしました。
The food we had ordered arrived at our table. Despite the enticing array of dishes before us, something seemed different. It's seafood salad, but there's no shrimp.
本当だ。珍しいな。
And the tomato cream spaghetti has squid instead of shrimp. It was an unusual choice considering tomato cream spaghetti was typically served with mozzarella cheese and shrimp. Perhaps the restaurant was attempting to liven up a routine menu item. Regardless, it still looked appetizing. That's fine. Let's eat.
ああ、シェアの方法だが、この取り皿に。
Rolling a fork of spaghetti, I held it out towards Shelby. Say, ah. What's wrong?
いや、シェアの方法が私の想定外だっただけだ。
I noticed he had been holding out a serving plate. Oh, I see. That's how you serve. It seemed that other couples around us were doing the same, so I thought it was acceptable. However, before I could retract my fork, Shelby held my hand in place.
いや、待ってくれ。
Like, no, let me eat it. Huh?
その、確かに周囲がそうしているのも事実だ。人生で一度くらいしてみてもいいだろう。
Once in my lifetime. Are you sure? You don't have to force yourself.
いや、私がしてみたいと思ったんだ。
I want to. Shelby looked embarrassed, but he took a bite from my fork anyway. A noise of pleasure escaped as he chewed. I know, he's very noisy when he eats, isn't he? After a short pause, he nodded.
確かにこうして食べると普段より美味しく感じるな。
He closed his eyes in embarrassment after admitting that, despite his words, he didn't seem to be enjoying the experience. Oh, really? No? Feeling his embarrassment makes me a bit self-conscious. Still, seeing other couples around us doing the same, I reminded myself we were a newlywed couple. There was no harm in being playful with each other. Then can you do it for me next, Shelby?
私がか。
Yes. I want to give it a try, please.
一度だけだ。
That was funny. He took a really long breath. Yay.
では行くぞ。はい。
Despite his embarrassment, Shelby cut a piece of chicken thigh confit and offered it to me with a fork. I gratefully took a bite. This confit is tasty.
そうか。それはよかった。
It sounds so relieved.
やはり恥ずかしいな。
Despite our initial awkwardness, we continued to feed each other. And we attracted curious glances from those around us. I found this playful interaction incredibly enjoyable, and despite Shelby's bashfulness, he seemed to share my sentiment. Before falling in love, neither of us would have engaged in such a display. Love, it seemed, was shifting our values. I think I remember you doing this like the first time you guys ever had breakfast when you were pretending. I'm pretty sure you guys did that at least once. The atmosphere of the island was also affecting us, and our honeymoon memories would be cherished from start to finish. That was adorable.
なんとか楽しめているようでよかった。
After finishing our meal, I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. I had worried about whether this honeymoon would be successful, especially considering the stories I heard about couples divorcing soon after their honeymoons. I assumed everything would work out, but I still harbored a fear of her becoming disenchanted with me. Aww.
しかし、やはり彼女と過ごすのはいいものだな。
For the first time in a long while, I had taken 2 consecutive days off work. Although I felt restless at first, I was now thoroughly enjoying our vacation.
こうしてゆっくりと休みを謳歌するのは、もういつぶりだろう。
Ever since meeting Lynette, I think I have more time to rest. Taking 2 days off was a rare occurrence for me, so it had been years since I last relaxed without work looming in the back of my mind. It was thanks to her that I learned how to truly unwind. Even after the honeymoon, I hope to maintain this newfound balance in my life.
イーライ・オマール氏には感謝しないといけないな。この島にはまた来るとしようか。
Seeing her so joyous was a sight I yearned to see time and time again. Maybe we could even visit other hotels. I was pulled from my musings by a notification on my phone. I had it set to only show urgent messages. Uh-oh. Email.
悪い。見ていいか。
Go ahead. After asking Lynette, I checked my phone. I squinted on the screen of my phone. Senator Ellie Omar. Ellie Omar was the young vice president who provided us the opportunity for this honeymoon. It's urgent, huh? Kick off. Kick off what? Well, at least it wasn't an hour so I could read this one. Before returning home, we paid a visit to Mr. Omar's office for a formal greeting. He had sent an email requesting to meet us. We waited in the reception room, and after a short while, a man appeared. He was tall with a gentle smile adorning his face, yet his eyes held a sharpness reminiscent of a raptor stalking its prey. Oh, really?
はじめまして、スネイル社長。私がイーライ・オマールです。
Oh, okay, it's not Ellie, it's Eli. I'll say it like that.
シェルビー・スネイルだ。この度はお招きいただき感謝しております。
We sat there exchanging smiles and handshakes. Yet an aura surrounded them, hinting at an immediate duel. What? The tension began to affect me too. Could it be because they're both company presidents? I thought he's the vice president, though. Technically, Mr. Omar was the vice president, but he certainly carried himself like a president. Despite being Shelby's secretary and wife, I never experienced such an atmosphere, even at dinner meetings with other executives. I felt a bit adrift amidst this escalating tension.
お二人にお会いできて本当に光栄です。
ええ、私もお会いできて光栄です。
この島ではお楽しみいただけましたか？
ええ、おかげさまで存分に堪能させていただきました。本当に見事な島ですね。ありがとうございます。
とんでもございません。楽しんでいただけたようで何よりです。
My handshake ended, Mr. Omar's gaze shifted towards me.
そちらがかの有名な奥様でいらっしゃいますか？
Renowned.
ああ、私の妻、リネットだ。
Pleased to meet you. I'm Lynette Snail. Thank you very much for your wonderful invitation. I think it's the first time I've ever had to say that. Lynette Snail.
これは噂にたがわず美しい奥様ですね、スネイル夫人は。
Uh-oh, we're gonna have another rival for her in this one too.
こんな素敵な女性と結婚できたなんて、彼が羨ましい。
Uh-oh, now he's touching her. With an elegant smile, Mr. Omar gently lifted my hand and placed a kiss on the back. I know, right? He's gonna be upset. Shelby seemed to tense at this, making Mr. Omar chuckle.
ああ、失礼。我が母国フランス流の挨拶です。
That makes sense.
そういえば、ロサンヨークではあまりしないんでしたね。失念しておりました。
As Mr. Omar released my hand, Shelby moved in between us, a silent warning in his stance. Stay back. Don't touch her. Shelby seemed skeptical, struggling to believe that Mr. Omar had simply forgotten that such a custom was unusual here. I know, right? I almost said, or you're lying. Shelby, I'm okay.
No.
I whispered to Shelby that he could have done this because it was a place of business. He seemed to calm down a little and nodded. Still, I could see the alertness in his eyes. His instincts as a man and as a business owner were kicking in. Indeed, Mr. Omar was someone to be wary of. His sharp gaze held a predatory intensity that could unnerve anyone.
では改めて本題に移らせてもらいましょうか。
本題?
We hadn't been informed about any specific topic for the meeting. My confused expression prompted Mr. Omar to encourage both of us to sit. Mr. Omar held court from across the room, his hands neatly folded on his lap.
ご存知かと思いますが、我がオマールホールディングスは様々な事業を手掛けています。ホテル、レストラン、アパレル、美容。フランスではその分野で我が社の右に出る企業はおりません。
なあ、もちろん存じております。
それは身に余るお言葉。ですが、そんな我が社もそろそろ新規開拓したいと思っているんですよ。婚活事業をね。
Matchmaking business, does he mean to?
アムールの国であるフランスでは婚活をする人がおらず、市場そのものがありません。皆自分の手で恋人を射落としますからね。なのでこのロサンヨークでのダムールパラディ島の事業と合わせて展開をと思っていたのですが、今のロサンヨークの婚活市場はキューピッドコーポレーションがほぼ独占していて、他社が参入する余地はありません。
Shelby doesn't like where this is going.
もちろん私もキューピッドコーポレーションと正面切って争いたいわけではありません。ノウハウも人脈も勝ち目がありませんから。
だから我が社の買収をお考えとでも？
さすが話が早くていらっしゃる。まさにその通りです。
Acquiring us? What does that mean? Shelby must have predicted this. I struggled to keep pace with the conversation. We were just enjoying our time on Demore Paradis. We thought they were an entirely different industry. Naively assumed we would be able to collaborate in some promotional venture. It never occurred to me they were considering a takeover. Oh.
なるほど。だから今回お招きくださったというわけですか。
I thought he just said that he wasn't planning on competing with them.
ええ、 ぜひ我がオマールホールディングスの手腕を見ていただきたいと思ったのですよ。安心して託せると思っていただくために。
As you want to buy them out.
随分と見くびられたものだな。
いいえ、むしろその逆です。高く評価しているのですよ。若くしてキューピッドコーポレーションをここまで育て上げ、軌道に乗せたあなたの手腕には感服いたします。ですが盤石というわけではない。長いこと嘘をついてまで愛妻家社長というプロモーションを続けなくてはならなかったほどにはね。
I mean, he's not lying anymore. How did he know that Shelby had been coerced into maintaining his lie by Duff from the ad agency? The vice president of a massive French company was up to date on events in Los York.
キューピッドコーポレーションはまだまだ伸びます。我が社の資本力があればさらに良い企業になるでしょう。
Mr. Omar then presented Shelby with some paperwork detailing the proposed acquisition of Cupid Corp.
こちらが私からの提案書です。
随分と用意がいいな。
ダムールパラディのオープン時から目をつけておりましたから、悪くはない数字かと。
Shelby silently proofs the offer. The figure proposed was staggering. What is he going to do? No amount of money could diminish the value of Cupid Corp to us. I watched anxiously as Shelby examined the documents, his gaze intense. Finally, he closed the packet and set it back on the table.
この程度の金額では話にもならないな。
なるほど、この程度ですか。よほど自信がおありのようだ。
Is this going to be the conflict? Them trying to force him to give in or take over?
冷静な判断をしたまでだ。
では5倍ではどうですか。
5 times? The proposed figure was already massive, but 5 times that amount? I gawked at the mind-boggling figure, but Shelby remained stoic.
そこまでの金額を提示するなら、ご自分で事業を起こしたらどうだ。
もちろんそれも考えていますよ。だがキューピッドコーポレーションを潰してしまうのはもったいない。
自分で起業すればうちを潰せると。随分な自信だな。
我がオマールホールディングスに君がかなうとでも。
I think he's taking this as a challenge. Mr. Omar responded with a patronizing laugh.
私もバカではないからね。潰し合うぐらいなら有効活用したい。このままでは宝の持ち腐れだ。私が社長になればキューピッドコーポレーションの世界進出も夢ではないと言っているんだよ。
Shelby and Mr. Omar's eyes locked in a silent battle of wills. Breaking the tense silence, Mr. Omar softened his gaze and smiled.
とにかくこれだけ私が御社を評価しているということを覚えておいてください。
It could just be special words to sweeten the deal, but he probably doesn't.
もちろんあなたに損はさせません。買収に応じた方があなたのためでもあるとそのうち気づくはずですよ。
You know, telling someone they're doing something in their best interest would probably, for me anyway, make me tighten my resolve.
残念だが、私は。
いいえ、副社長。頼まれたものをお持ちいたしました。
Even though I pressed the button too fast, it was perfect because he was interrupted. Shelby and I were stunned by the newcomer. Oh?
オーウェン。
Owen?
シェルビー社長。
Owen seemed to be surprised to see us.
ああ、紹介いたしましょう。彼は私の忠実な部下、オーウェン・ヘリオット君だ。
You planned this, you dirty little...
ご無沙汰しております。
なぜお前がここに？
優秀な人材だとお聞きしておりましたから、我が社にお招きしたのです。彼が反省していると一目見てわかりましたから。
Oh, I forgot. In Shelby's route, Owen was a bad guy, and he was working with Mars to put Cupid out of business. And he was doing some really dirty things. I don't remember actually what happened to him. I don't know if he resigned or if he was fired. I don't think he was fired, but I think he resigned. And now he's working for them. He's gonna be a rival once again. Aww.
これからオマールホールディングスはますます発展していくでしょう。買収は悪い話ではないはずです。
You're making him upset. Shelby returned to Mr. Omar's gaze with steely determination, pushing the proposal back towards him.
悪いが、まだ手放すつもりはない。お断りさせていただこ
う。ですが、実務から解放されれば、奥様との時間も確保できますよ。ハネムーン中、さぞやお楽しみだったのでは？
No, but Shelby is the prestige parasite. He has to be working. He can't just sit around and do nothing the rest of his life.
彼女は理解ある妻だ。一緒にいる時間が全てではない。心が通じていればそれでいい。帰るぞ、リネット。
I need a CG, dang it. I gotta keep going. Unexpected event. 3 days after our return from More Paradise. Well, now we have the conflict. Shelby threw himself back into work with renewed vigor. President Shelby, the location for the afternoon lunch meeting has changed. Should I let them know it's not a problem?
ああ、任せる。
His focus was so intense that he barely looked up even when discussing work matters. It was the same when employees brought reports to him. He just kept working, undeterred by the interruptions.
では、私はこれで。お忙しい中、失礼いたしました。
ああ。
Thank you for your help today.
はい。社長、大丈夫ですか？
Observing Shelby engrossed in his work, even the staff could sense something was amiss. Yes, he's fine. He's just catching up on work he missed during our vacation.
はあ。では失礼いたします。
After saying goodbye to the staff member, I sighed slightly. Shelby's focus on his work bordered on desperation. It was clear that he had been affected by Omar's words. He mentioned that our stability was an illusion. Shelby snarled the perfectionist, the so-called prestige parasite, wasn't content until everything was flawless. His pride as the president and a man must have been stung by Mr. Omar's comments. I need to make sure he doesn't work himself to the ground. As a secretary and family member, I was resolved to support him no matter what. But even when it was time to leave the office, Shelby refused to quit working. Having finished my task for the day, I headed home before him. I'm heading home alone again because Shelby didn't come with me. That day, as I walked home alone, I looked up at the sky. I had been working late and going to our home at 8th Avenue, but we hadn't been spending much time together. Though we slept in the same bed, it was a fleeting comfort. I'd awake briefly when he crawled into bed, relieved to know he was home, only to wake in the morning to find him gone. Starting to feel lonely. I decided to tell him tomorrow that I wanted us to at least have dinner together. Just as I made this resolution, a sports car pulled up.
こんばんは、スネイル夫人。
I knew he was going to come up while she was out by herself and be usurped by him. Mr. Omar. An unexpected figure emerged from the car. What are you doing here?
失礼。君の姿が見えたもので、つい車を止めてしまいました。リネットとお呼びしても？
Well, I suppose. Shelby's not gonna like that. Caught off guard, I hesitated before agreed. Mr. Omar had flashed a relaxed, charming smile. It was a charming gaze that felt so gentle.
ありがとう、リネット。実はこの間会った時から君とはゆっくり話がしたかったんだ。
He's so evil. Not only does he want to take his company, he's going to try to take Lynette too. I know it. Even though, just the way he's talking to her, he's going to try to steal her. Before I knew it, Ellie had closed the distance between us. It wasn't the space kept between strangers, it was the intimate proximity shared between friends and lovers.
ところで君は今帰りなのかな？
Yes, are you still working, Eli? Why are you calling him by his first name? Nodding, he moved a step closer, his eyes never leaving mine as he ran a hand through his hair.
ああ、実はダムールパラディで働いてもらうシェフを増やしたくて、腕のいい料理人を探しに行くところなんだ。その調査のために一人でディナーを食べに行こうと思っていてね。
Don't you dare. You're doing the research personally.
お客様にも満足のいく食事をしてもらいたいからね。味ばかりは実際食べないとわからないだろ。腕のいいシェフがいればより良い料理が提供できる。これも大切な仕事の一つさ。
Eli smiled as he checked something on his tablet.
だからこれからリストアップした店へ行く予定なんだが、よければ君も一緒にいかがかな？
Don't you dare go. Huh? Me?
ええ、ぜひ女性の意見も聞いてみたい。
Oh my goodness, don't be fooled by his false words. His sly words. Smoothly, he took my hand and planted a gentle kiss on the back of it. Looking up at me with a mischievous glint in his eyes, I quickly pulled away my hand. That's a tempting offer, but I've already planned to have dinner with my husband. I had no such plans with Shelby. It was a blatant lie, but Eli just laughed with a composed amusement.
あ、失礼。そういえば彼は愛妻家社長だったね。
At least she's wise enough to dodge advances. As if seeing through my lie, Eli cast a gaze towards the upper floors of Cupid Corp, almost as if he knew Shelby was still there.
まだまだガードは固い。
Yeah, I know. Back off. What's wrong
なら
with
せ
you?
めて家まで送ろう。それぐらいはいいだろ。
No, they don't know where you live. He opened his car door and I found myself flustered. Thank you, but I'm fine. My home is just a short walk from here.
そうか。ではまた。会いに来るよ、リネット。
Eli climbed back into his car and drove off. I was relieved that he didn't push further, but I was left puzzled by the encounter. Oh man, he's such a sly one, isn't he? I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I was in a relationship and not married, I would be so tempted by his charming appearance. I know, but from a reader's perspective, I know he has bad intentions. It's just, he's, like, I don't think he's genuinely interested in her. I think he just wants to get at Shelby. I hadn't expected him to invite me to dinner and offer to escort me home. Those weren't typical gestures towards a married woman. I know, right? Then I remembered that Eli had hired Owen. Owen was the former secretary at Cupid Corp. I was certain Eli knew about the previous incidents. He was well aware of the past complications and still chose to hire Owen. He even made an acquisition offer to Shelby. His decision to approach me couldn't have been coincidental. Well, at least she's smart about this. Was he trying to persuade me to convince Shelby to sell Cupid Corp? Perhaps he thought that if I, as Shelby's wife, tried to convince him, he would be more likely to agree. Was that why he invited me to dinner? I immediately dismissed those thoughts. Why? No, that's just my imagination. He was just on his way home from work. He happened to see me, that's all. Okay, I take back everything I said. You're dumb. That's not it. Well, there has to be conflict, right? So she's just gonna brush it off. Besides, Shelby wouldn't change his mind just because I asked him to. I bet he would. Shelby was always firm in separating his personal life from his work. Eli should have known that. At least that was what I thought. If his wife's involved, I'm sure he would.
やあ、リネット。先ほど会食に出かけるシェルビー氏を見かけたよ。今晩こそ一緒にどうかな。
Are you stalking her now?
まだ逃げ続けるつもりかい？手強いね。ならせめてランチぐらい私におごらせてくれないかな。
He's totally stalking her now. Now he's just showing up at random occasions and trying to get her to go out with him. I need to tell Shelby. Despite my rebuffs, Eli kept coincidentally running into me. It was clear that he has something he wanted to discuss. Maybe I should just see what he wants to talk about, including the acquisition issue, but how should I broach the subject? I was hesitant to have dinner behind Shelby's back. I know, we need to tell him. So when we finally had dinner together for the first time in a while, I decided to discuss the situation with him. He's gonna be so mad.
えらいオマールが食事に誘ってくるだと。
Shelby choked on his food during our dinner conversation. Yes, he asked me several times and I don't know how to respond.
なんとも。
Oh, poor guy. So I was thinking about meeting him once to see what he wants.
ダメだ。
No. Absolutely not. I mentioned this before, but that's my favorite phrase of no that they say. It's just absolute. There's no discussing it. I know, Shelby, I wouldn't meet him alone. That's why I'm consulting with you.
つまり、私と二人であの男に会うと。
That man. Shelby, if you're too busy, someone else can come with me. Maybe Gil could accompany me. Your lovelorn parasite.
ますますダメに決まっているだろう。
I know, he's in love with you. Even worse. I'm running out of ways to decline his invitations. I thought it might be a good idea to talk to him once and clearly say no.
なら、仕事を辞めればいいだろう。
Quit your job. What? I'm sorry, Shelby. Did I mishear you? Could you repeat that?
聞き間違いではない。リネット、仕事を辞めてくれ。
Why would you say that? She loves her job. Wait, why? I was stunned. His sudden leap in reasoning left me bewildered. The conversation had been about me not knowing how to handle the vice president of a company that intended on acquiring Cupid Corp. But somehow, his conclusion was that I should quit my job. It made no sense.
なんでも何も、お前が私の秘書で、外を一人で歩いているから、あの男に狙われているのだろう。
Why don't you just come home with her then? Oh my goodness. His hand slammed into the table as he rose abruptly. His serious expression underscored his words. Oh my goodness, we're having a fight.
あれは考えもなしに行動するような男じゃない。手に入れると決めたものをどこまでも追ってくるようなやつだ。
But still, just go with her.
だが、仕事を辞めて家にいれば、奴も手出しはできない。だから、家にいてくれ。
But how did you jump to that conclusion?
愛する妻が他の男に言い寄られて、平気でいられるわけないだろう。
Beloved wife, his words left me speechless, but even with my surprise, I couldn't agree to his demand. I just can't quit my job for that reason.
そんなこととはなんだ。一大事じゃないか。
He's only been coming to meet me, not flirting.
それを言い寄られていると言うんだ。男が興味ない相手に何度も会いに来るはずないだろう。
I know, he's trying to charm her and call her by her first name and kiss her hand. Maybe he has something important to discuss regarding work.
重要な話。あの男がか。本気で言っているのか。ダメだ。絶対に断れ。そしてあんな男に見つからないようしばらく家にいるんだ。
How am I supposed to work like that? That's why I'm discussing this with you to figure out what to do.
仕事なんて何とでもなるだろう。とにかくダメだ。あの男はお前を自分のものにしようと考えている。絶対に近づかせたくないんだ。だから仕事を辞めてくれ。 そもそも私の稼ぎがあれば十分暮らせるだろう。
But why are you insisting on this? I love my job.
どうしてだ。本当に仕事が好きなのか。
Of course she does. Of course I do. Why else would I have joined the company?
だが私がこれまで出会った女性は皆結婚をして仕事を辞めたいと言っていた。
Well, you haven't met Cupid before.
地位のある男との結婚に望むのはそれしかないとそう言っていたんだ。お前の仕事熱心な姿に惹かれたのも事実だ。優秀な社員がいると嬉しく思ったこともある。だがあの男に狙われるリスクを冒してまで続けるべき仕事なのか。どうして今の仕事を続けたいか聞かせてくれ。
Why? Because I love matchmaking, that's why.
どうして好きなんだ。他のことではダメなのか。
Well, I paused, stopping myself before voicing the true reason because it's by nature. Before I fell for a human, I was Cupid, existing solely to support human love. But even if I revealed that, he wouldn't believe me. W was a grounded realist who didn't know that I was Cupid. The realization that my own husband didn't know my true self filled me with a deep sorrow. Was it necessary to keep my past a secret, my past as Cupid? No, it's not. I didn't think I should hide it, even if he wouldn't believe me. I yearned to maintain my pride in my identity as Cupid. Sharing that truth with Shelby was important to me. After all, I never wanted to lie about something so crucial to who I am. Driven by my deepest desire to share the truth, I answered his earlier question. Oh? Shelby, there's a secret I've been holding back from you.
秘密。
His face hardened at my tone, bracing himself for what was to come. You remember when I was kidnapped by the Roman Julie wedding people, and suddenly everyone fell in love with me.
おう、それは覚えているが、急に何の話だ。
Because I shot them with my Cupid's golden arrow, I'm the real Cupid.
は？すまない。聞き間違えたようだ。もう一度言ってもらえるか。
I am the real Cupid, a deity of love from Celestia. I used my divine powers to escape that kidnapping. Before coming to Lost York, I lived in Celestia as Cupid. I aided humans in love. When I discovered your company, I was so impressed that I decided to descend to the human realm. For 400 years, I've been Cupid, and that's why I have a passion for matchmaking. It's an instinct part of me, and I can't change. That's why I can't leave this job. That's the real reason I can't quit. Silence enveloped us as Shelby digested my words. He stared at me, his brows creased. Eventually, he sighed.
急に真面目に話し始めたと思ったら、突拍子もないことを。
Is he going to believe her? What? Unexpected.
バカにするな。そんな話、信じられるはずないだろう。嘘をつくなら、もう少しマシなものにしてくれ。
It's not a lie, I'm telling the truth.
キューピッドだったことがか？なら、そのキューピッドの矢とやらは今どこにあるんだ？
She can't keep it. I don't have it anymore.
話にならないな。私を納得させられそうにないからといって安易な作り話をするな。
No. The realization that he didn't believe me was devastating. I had hoped he would at least listen, if not believe me. I didn't know if it was because I felt mortified or sad, but my vision blurred with tears. I am the real Cupid. It's an undeniable fact, but I didn't have any proof to make him believe me. Should I have kept my past hidden? What should I have done? I should have revealed my true identity when I was still Cupid. Why didn't I wait until now to reveal my secret? Shelby, you jerk.
バカだと。
Uh-oh. Yes, you. Why? Why did you dismiss me so easily?
先にからかったのはお前の方だろう。
I'm not joking around. It's the truth. I found the courage to share my secret, so why don't you believe me?
そんな口頭無形な話、信じろという方が難しいだろう。
But if you put aside whether I'm Cupid or not, what about my admission of how much I love my job? I might not be able to explain fully why I want to continue, but I really do want to. Even if you ask me to quit, I won't.
それはだが私はあの男が来ると分かっていてお前を会社へ行かせられるほどできた男ではない。分かってくれ。あの男は危険だ。お前が取られるんじゃないかと不安なんだ。
And you expect me to abandon everything because of that? What about my desire to continue matchmaking?
そうは言ってないだろう。
It's essentially the same. Moreover, Shelby, how will you manage your work without me as your secretary?
すぐに新しい秘書を探す。別に問題ない。
Not an issue. You claimed you were struggling because you didn't have a secretary. That's the only reason I agreed. I had always wanted to stay on the ground as the bridal advisor.
そうだったのか。
Uh-oh. Yes, I thought your company was in trouble, Shelby. I believed working for the company would contribute to matchmaking.
不満があったのならばその時に言えばよかっただろう。
I thought they... In the Happy Root, I thought they also made a branch in Alan's apartment building, his pillow shop. I haven't even mentioned that yet. It's only now that I'm realizing it. It was true, I just realized it then. I thought being Shelby's secretary would be a part of my matchmaking work. I really wanted to stay grounded, directly helping people through matchmaking. It took time, but I finally understood it. Regardless, I won't quit my job. I absolutely refuse to.
勝手にしろ。
Oh my goodness. Now they're going to be upset at each other this whole route. Indeed, I certainly will. Oh my goodness. I hate it so much. Angrily, I turned away from Shelby and headed for the bathroom. Usually after dinner, I'd make some coffee for us to unwind and relax, but tonight I wanted solitude. It was our first argument. I never anticipated how stressful a simple disagreement could be. Despite the tension, we didn't make amends by the time bedtime rolled around. We still shared the same bed, but not a single word was exchanged. Our backs pressed against each other as we laid in the enveloping silence. I've gone to bed many times before angry at my husband too. It's not a good feeling. And I think we had the most arguments right after we got married too. The honeymoon phase is over. How awkward. If things didn't change by morning, it would be unbearable. As I wondered what to say, I felt Shelby stir slightly behind me.
リネット。
His voice filled with regret broke the silence in our bedroom. Aww. Did you dare ignore him? Let's see. Okay, it's answer him. Good. Well, first we're going to see what happens if you ignore him. It's probably going to be bad.
もう寝たのか。そのままでいいから、もし起きていたら聞いてくれ。すまなかった。お前の気持ちを考えず、自分の不安ばかりを押し付けてしまった。縁結びが好きだというのは分かっていたのに。あの男にお前を取られるんじゃないかって焦ってしまったんだ。そしたら止まらなくなってしまい、言い過ぎた。お前の気持ちを尊重せず、身勝手なことを言った。すまなかった。
I'm so glad he's saying this. I was going to be so mad if they're just going to like be mad at each other for days on end. His tone was sad and was genuinely regretful. Alright, let's go back up and do the other one. I'm gonna answer him. What's wrong?
すまなかった。
In his second voice, Shelby sounded sincerely apologetic. As I turned to face him, his pained expression took me by surprise.
すまない。言い過ぎた。お前が あの男に取られるんじゃないかと不安になったら、つい意固地になって、お前の気持ちを考えずに言ってしまった。お前が縁結びを好きだというのは、アドバイザーだった頃の働きぶりから知っていたはずなのにな。お前の気持ちを尊重せず、勝手なことを言った。すまない。
Oh, he's so sweet. Shelby, it was the first time I'd ever heard Shelby apologize so sincerely. I felt guilty about it. Even though I still believe Shelby's demands were unreasonable, I had to admit I had also spoken out of turn. I also said too much. I'm sorry, Shelby. I understand your worries, but I let my emotions take over.
いや、怒って当然だ。私が一方的な要求ばかり告げてしまったのだから。
Shelby saw my distressed expression and reached out to me.
触れていいか?
Yes. As I gave my consent, he pulled me into a warm embrace. The familiar scent of Shelby. The tension melted away as I took in the comforting scent of my husband. It had been a while since we had a moment like this, given Shelby's recent relentless work schedule. Shelby, would you like to... We hadn't been intimate lately. The last time was during our honeymoon. But as I suggested making up in a more intimate way, Shelby seemed flustered. He doesn't seem too enthusiastic. I was puzzled, but when Shelby's hand caressed my cheek, I yielded myself to him.
Lynette.
Our lips met in a kiss. It had been a while since we expressed our love in such a way. Uh-oh. But when the time came, Shelby suddenly froze. Why? Shelby looked pale. I thought something was wrong and got up. Shelby, what's wrong? Are you feeling ill?
Yeah.
Just...
すまない。疲れが溜まっているみたいだ。
I'm so confused. Worn out? My gaze followed his to an unexpected sight. I saw it in a different shape from usual. What? Are we really talking about this? Much like a soft cinnamon sprinkled banana, it was visibly unwell. Oh my goodness. Shelby was so full of energy during our honeymoon. Seeing him pale at the sight was completely unexpected. It's so awkward. What am I supposed to do here? Things were awkward beyond belief. I know, right? You made me read all that. Should I reassure him it's not a big deal? No, that might make it worse. Should I just laugh it off? No. No, pretending I didn't notice isn't an option now. How can I respond without bruising his feelings? Unable to find the right words, I could feel us drifting apart instead of reconciling.
いや、違う。私もしたかったんだが、その不測の事態と言うべきか。いや、疲れとかストレスでこうなることがあると知識では知っていたが、決して気が乗らないというわけではなく。
I have learned that men have no control over this.
その筋トレをする時間が以前より減ったため、テストステロンが減ってしまったのも一因なのではと。
Shelby was faltering as he tried to explain the situation the best he could. The more he talked, the worse things seemed to get.
すまない。仕事がまだ残っていたんだった。
He's just gonna leave. With that, Shelby climbed out of bed and hastily exited the bedroom. I had no idea something like this could happen. It was so soft and deflated. Oh my goodness. Why do we have to see bananas? I don't understand. I found myself glancing at the fresh bananas he kept in the room. A romantic moment had dissipated into thin air. Alone and bewildered, I remained in bed. Oh my goodness. Unlikely resident of the fridge. I was trying not to cough during that introduction because I have to go back and redo it. This has got me all embarrassed now. Why do I gotta talk about soft and deflated bananas? Anyway. The next line is really funny. I usually leave it on the ending screen or whatever of the next section, but the next line says, a few days had passed since the incident with Shelby's soft issue. Oh my goodness. Whatever. Fine. Poor Shelby's got a problem now. He's got to deal with it. I didn't expect Shelby to react like that. I wasn't expecting him to like demand her to quit. I knew he was going to be protective, but yeah, he did go a little bit too far, but at least he apologized for it. At least they don't have to be mad at each other for days, because that would be worse than his issue that he has right now. Anyways, I don't know what else to talk about, so if you guys enjoyed, drop a like down below and or subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.